As the Pentagon confirms the deployment of 400 more troops to Syria, the country's President Bashar Assad has reiterated that Damascus did not agree to a US military presence in Syria. RT's Lizzie Phelan has more on the issue.
The Syrian President Bashar al-Assad has officially responded to America's escalating presence here in Syria. He's calling their presence now an invasion of Syrian territory. We can take a quick listen to part of his latest interview.
Did you open the door for these American troops?
No, we didn't. Any foreign troops coming to Syria without our invitation or consultation or permission, they are invaders.
So there, Assad is also highlighting that the presence of both American and Turkish troops here in Syria is illegal. They're here, of course, without the authorization of the Syrian government. And just yesterday, the Syrian government called on the United Nations Security Council to force Turkey to withdraw its troops from Syrian soil. But Assad's comments have also come in the wake of a rapid escalation in America's presence here. Earlier this week, the United States announced that it has sent 400 extra troops, ground troops, conventional forces to Syria, Marines that will be armed, that are armed with heavy artillery. Now, the Americans initially said that they're doing this in order to speed up the fight for Raqqa, ISIS's de facto capital. Now, up until this latest deployment, America's involvement in Syria has officially been limited to the skies and on the ground special ops, advising and assisting local allies, as well as some raids against ISIS militants. Assad also commented on those raids, saying they're also illegal, having been done without coordinating with the Syrian government. He added that up until now, there's been zero link on a formal level between Washington and Damascus.
We don't think this is going to help. Well, what are they going to do? To fight ISIS? The Americans lost nearly everywhere. They lost in Iraq. They had to withdraw at the end. They didn't succeed anywhere they sent troops. They only create mess. They are very good in creating problems and destroying, but they are very bad in finding solutions.
Let's discuss this further with Middle East expert Catherine Shackdown. Welcome to the programme, Catherine. I suppose we have to start with the legal issues surrounding the US deployment. What are your thoughts about this?
It's a violation of international law. It's very simple. I mean, whenever a country actually infringe on another's national sovereignty and territorial sovereignty, then you have a problem. And I would actually argue that having, a foreign military presence into Syria without consultation with Damascus and the express approval of President Bashar al-Assad, who remains the legitimate source of power in Syria, then you have an act of war. And the United States of America is insisting on, throwing away international law so that it could exercise exceptionalism. And we can't stand for this anymore. You can't have those situations where the likes of Washington continue to intervene against the wishes of nations just because they feel that they can.
Well, it seems like they're upping the ante in Syria, doesn't it? I mean, the US did promise no boots on the ground, but they've gone back on their word almost.
Well, this is what they do. But then again, if you recall, just a few weeks earlier, President Donald Trump promised that he wanted to do safe zones. So you need to ask yourself, what is it that he's actually trying to manifest on the ground in Syria? Is he really trying to fight terrorism, or is he trying to manifest, his agenda and actually, make good on his promises that he would, not just create safe zones, but deal with President Bashar al-Assad and make sure that what Washington wants will happen in the region. There is an issue here. There is an underlying issue where we don't ask the right questions anymore as to why now, why this, military presence in Syria when the Syrian army is just about getting rid of Daesh permanently, when the Syrian Arab army with its partners, Hezbollah, Iran, and Russia, is just about actually winning this war against radicalism. What does the US need to intervene right now when the Syrian can do it by themselves? Thank you very much. If it's not to actually, muddy the water and actually offer some kind of a cover by creating a vacuum to the likes of Daesh, Al-Qaeda, and other militants on the ground. Those questions need to be asked.
Yeah, they certainly are being asked at the moment. Nevertheless, despite the deployment, it's a relatively small number, isn't it? We're looking at a total of 900 troops deployed by the US, 500 already there. Now, is this going to be a big enough number to indeed aid the fight against Islamic State?
Well, I don't know whether they're aiding the fight against the Islamic State, so it's it remains to be seen, because I don't think that anywhere the US has intervened. I don't think that the US has helped in any way, shape, or form in terms of fighting terrorism. Now you have, it might be small deployments now, but we are expecting more. Washington has said that it wants to do more, that it wants to bring troops from Kuwait. I believe that it's still looking at, bringing maybe more people into this equation by maybe forming some kind of a coalition. It's very interesting. It's very strange how the architecture of this new intervention in Syria is actually shaping up in a way which reminds me of the Saudi coalition against Yemen. It's very strange, how you have some very weird parallels, and how suddenly it's actually playing into the hands of Saudi Arabia in Syria, because of course Saudi Arabia does not want to see President Bashar al-Assad remains in power, and would like to impose its reality on the ground in the Levant in general. And then the US now is suddenly running running into this war theater. And I'm just wondering, is it that it's helping its policy, or actually acting a cover for Saudi Arabia and trying to salvage the situation and prevent people from asking very hard questions?
Well, thanks for your thoughts on this. That's Middle East expert Catherine Shakdam. Thanks for coming into the programme.
My pleasure.